Okay kids, it's time for books. So cuddle up to Mum or Dad's and let's rock and read. Today, I'll be reading you chapters 17 and 18 of Wayside School Beneath a Cloud of Doom. Chapter 17, The Best Principal Ever! Miss Jules went from desk to desk, handing back everyone's history homework. Nice job, Eric, she said to one of the Erics. Well done, Eric, she said to another. You better study the history of cabbage, she told the third Eric. The ultimate test is coming. The third Eric, naturally, was Eric Ubbins. He thought he knew all about the history of cabbage and felt bad when he saw his homework grade. Then he realised that Miss Jules had given him Eric Bacon's paper by mistake. It turned out that Eric Bacon had Eric Fry's homework and Eric Fry had his. They switched papers. Miss Jules moved on. Nice job, Dee Dee, although your paper smelled somewhat strange. She stopped at Jason's desk and shook her head. I was very disappointed, Jason. Sorry, Jason muttered. He could barely hold his head up. I was up all night reading. He'll never finish his book, Miss Jules, said Alison. Suddenly, the classroom door swung open and banged against the wall. Everyone turned to see Mr. Kidswatter. Good morning, children, he said. They stared at him. He never had been inside their classroom before. Mr. Kidswatter loudly cleared his throat. I said, good morning, children. Miss Jules hurried to the front of the room. She waved her hands like an orchestra conductor. Good morning, Mr. Kidswatter, the children said in unison. The principal smiled. What's all this? He asked, pointing to the 27 plastic containers stacked against the wall. Toenails, said Paul. Also fingernails, added Leslie, so the principal wouldn't think the class was weird. Well, I'm glad to see you're doing important work here, said Mr. Kidswatter. Would you like to donate a toenail or maybe a fingernail, said Miss Jules? Mr. Kidswatter curled his fingers as he examined his nails. No, I'm still using mine. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. I'm looking for a student to bang the gong on Friday. I figured I'd start at the top and work my way down until I found someone willing to. Every arm shot up in the air. Calls of, pick me and ooh, ooh, could be heard from around the room. Oh, said Mr. Kidswatter. I guess it won't take as long as I thought. Me, begged Baby, stretching her high. No, me, urged Dee Dee. It was impossible to know where Mr. Kidswatter was looking. He wore mirrored sunglasses, even indoors. Joy had both hands raised, doubling her chances of being picked. You're the best principal ever, she called out. Mr. Kidswatter's head turned. Yo, he boomed, pointing his finger. Everybody groaned, except for the one person he had chosen. Me? Stephen asked meekly. You? Asked Mr. Kidswatter, sounding somewhat surprised. Yes, you, he declared. I chose you to know, and I don't make mistakes. He strode towards Stephen, then placed his big hands on both sides of Stephen's desk and leaned over. Be in my office on Friday at 2 minutes before 3 o'clock, he ordered. You'll get one and only one swing of the mallet, so you better not miss. You must hit the very centre of the gong at exactly 3 o'clock. No, not a second early, not a second late. There are no second chances. Stephen's right leg was shaking. The principal straightened up and headed toward the door. Goodbye, children, he said. He stopped. He waited. He folded his arm across his chest. Miss Jules waved her arms like an orchestra conductor. Goodbye, Mr. Kidswatter, everyone said together. As soon as the principal was gone, everyone crowded around Stephen's desk. You were so lucky, said Jason. That is the best thing that's ever happened to anyone in our class, said Jenny. You better not blow it, said Joy, or else no kid will ever get to ring the gong again. Can you even let the mallet? Asked Terence. Stephen didn't say anything. He hadn't heard a word they said. It was just the moment Mr. Kidswatter had said, Yo! Someone had bunged a gong inside Stephen's head. Gong! Chapter 18, The Mirror. Dr. Pickle kept 2 things on his desk. One was a bust of Sigmund Freud. A bust is a statue of someone's head, neck and shoulders. Sigmund Freud was the most famous physiologist ever. He was Dr. Pickle's hero. Dr. Ford also had also had a beard. The second thing on Dr. Pickle's desk was a handheld mirror. Dr. Pickle checked his beard at least 5 times per day to make sure it was trimmed just right. Now, however, that was the least of his worries. He looked at his face in the mirror. His cheek was puffed out, his tongue was sticking out, one eye was closed, one eyebrow was raised. He looked like a big doofus. He gently swung his pickle straw between his face and the mirror. "I am getting sleepy," he said to himself. "By the count of 5, I will fall asleep. 1, 2, thruple-dub." His head plopped down on his desk. This would normally be the time when Dr. Pickle would tell his patient what she was supposed to do when she woke up. But he was his own patient, and both patient and doctor were sleeping. Sometime later, a car horn blared. It sounded like there was an angry driver right behind him. Dr. Pickle woke up. He had no idea how long he'd been sleeping. It took him a moment to remember who he was, where he was, and why he'd tried to hypnotize himself. He picked up the mirror and checked his face. No change. "Now what am I going to do?" he asked. That was strange. He had felt his mouth move when he spoke. But the mouth in the mirror didn't move. He brought his hands to his face. He could see his hands touching the face in the mirror too. The cheek in the mirror was still all puffed out, but his own cheek felt soft and flat. He moved his tongue around inside his mouth, even though his tongue in the mirror was sticking out at him. He set the mirror on his desk. "This is very interesting," he said aloud. "Clearly the face shifts to whoever stares at it," he realized. He turned the mirror over face down. He hadn't read about this in any of his physiatry books. He slowly raised the mirror, caught a glimpse of the hideous face that was still there, then quickly lowered it back down his desk. This discovery would make him famous. He picked up the bust of Sigmund Freud. "Even more famous than you," he said to it. "But will that fame be worth it? What if someone else's face got stuck along the way? What would you do?" he asked Dr. Ford. There is a reason it's called a bust. It was made of bronze and it felt heavy in his hand. He flipped the mirror over and slammed Sigmund Freud down on top of it. The face shattered. Up in Miss Jewell's class, Kathy suddenly felt very dizzy and confused. She looked at the sentence she had just written. "I can't read this," she exclaimed. "It's backward." "Let me," said DJ, take from it. "How'd you do that? That is so cool." "Warm," Kathy replied. And that was Chapter 17 and 18 of Wayside School Beneath the Cloud of Doom. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye!